Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user HappyConcert2891. Am I the a-hole for kicking my mother-in-law out of my house because she won't stop complaining about my daughter's name? Both me, 28 female, and my husband, 30 male, are from Latin America. We moved to the UK shortly after we had our eldest, 5 male. Our daughter, who turns 1 next month, was born here. My mother-in-law, 60s, and my husband's older brother, 37 male, neither of whom have met our daughter before, are flying over for her birthday. Brother-in-law wanted to get a hotel room for himself, and mother-in-law doesn't speak any English, so we decided to have her stay at our place instead of leaving her alone in a foreign country. Years ago, when I was pregnant with my son, my husband and I made the mistake of revealing his name to our families. My mother-in-law spent the next months complaining about it. She'd send us lists of name suggestions, look up bad historical figures with the same name as the one we'd chosen, and just generally say it was awful. She didn't stop until our son was born and the name was on his birth certificate. So, for my second pregnancy, we decided to keep our daughter's name a secret until after her birth. We figured that not knowing her name until it was unchangeable would stop mother-in-law from complaining. We were wrong. Our daughter's name is Cecilia. Minutes after she was born, my mother-in-law called my husband and asked, "You know Cecilia means blind, right?" Almost a year later, she hasn't stopped complaining. If it's not because of the meaning, it's because it's ugly, long, or an old lady name. There have been occasions in which my husband sent pictures of her to his family group chat, and his mom replied with stuff like, "How cute, too bad her name is Cecilia." It genuinely feels like my daughter is being bullied. Whenever we talk to my mother-in-law, which has been happening less and less lately for this exact reason, she has a new complaint. Up until now, the main reason I was able to, kind of, tune it out was because she hadn't complained to us in person or in front of our children. But she'll be here in less than 2 weeks and I'm absolutely certain she'll continue her crusade at our home. I don't want to hear it. I don't want my son to hear it, and I don't want my baby's first birthday to be ruined by grandma's bitching. So, a couple of months ago, my husband and I called his mom. We told her she could no longer stay with us and to ask brother-in-law to help her get a hotel room. We also told her the reasons behind our decision. Mother-in-law cried on the phone and has called us several times since. She always either apologizes, calls us dramatic, or accuses us of alienating her from her grandkids. Throughout all this, she continues to insist she has the right to dislike our daughter's name and still hasn't booked a hotel room. My brother-in-law agrees she's being an a-hole but is upset we told her she can no longer stay at our place. He's accusing us of forcing an elderly woman to stay alone in a foreign country even though we're perfectly capable of housing her. He's also mad that after promising for months that mother-in-law could stay at our house, we are retracting our offer. This whole situation has been exhausting and I'm starting to worry I might be overreacting. Am I the a-hole? Well, no, I don't think you're the a-hole for telling her that she can't stay at your home. I mean, she's got the right to dislike your daughter's name, sure, but you also have the right to house whoever the F you want. Now, you don't mention it in your post, but have you ever actually sat your mother-in-law down and told her to cut her crap or there would be consequences, like less communication and not seeing the children? Because from what I understand, when you had your first son, you communicated the name, she hated it, blah blah blah, all that crap. Then for the second one, you decided not to say anything and still, she didn't like the name. So I guess my question is, at which point did your husband sit his mom down and say, "Hey mom, I know you have the right to your opinion, but I don't need to hear it. We chose those names, we love them, and if you don't stop, then we're just gonna stop communicating with you because you're being impossible and annoying." Maybe that'll help her understand that she needs to put a lid on it in order to be accepted in your home. And if after that she still can't let it go, then you follow through, you kick her out and you don't contact her again for a while. You put her on ice until she gets it. And what is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Deleted says, first off, not the a-hole. How hard is it to just not complain about a name? Seriously, she made her choice when she insisted she has the right to not like your daughter's name. She could have easily said, I don't like the name, but won't mention it again because it clearly upsets you. Boom, done. She made the choice to be a pain. Again, not the a-hole. Historical State 275 says, not the a-hole. She made the decision that led to this. You're not making her do anything. And it's not like the UK is a war zone. Her safety is not at risk. And OP responds, I agree that safety wouldn't be much of a concern. But I also agree that being alone in a foreign country you've never visited without knowing the language can be effing terrifying. She hasn't gotten a room yet. She could try to get one at the same hotel as brother-in-law, but yeah, knowing him, he'd be against it. Disastrous Baby 5069 says, not the a-hole. All she will do is complain not just about her granddaughter's name, but everything regarding you and your motherhood. She seems like one of those monsters-in-law. I am also pretty sure when her granddaughter grows up, she will also dislike her because of these actions. She has the right not to like the name, but she should keep that opinion to herself. After all, she is the one who chose her children's names, so you and your husband also have the right to pick whatever name you like. It's been a year now, and she should just get over this. I just think this is an excuse to complain, like most mothers-in-law find one. The name is not the problem. She is just mad you didn't give her the chance to name her granddaughter, which obviously you are not required to do. To me, that is pure bullying. She is her granddaughter, and whatever name you chose for her, she is supposed to like. Also, Cecilia is such a cute name. Heart. And OP responds, besides this problem, we have an okay relationship with her. Could be better, but it's way less awful than many of my friends' mothers-in-law. That said, she always has a tendency of complaining, even before we had kids. We knew she'd complain about whatever names we picked. We just didn't know how bad it would be. So the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, and in the additional context we learn that the mother-in-law is apparently just difficult and likes to complain about whatever. So now let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. Hey everyone, it's been 3 months since I last posted and I want to give you an update. I'll try to be brief. For the next couple of weeks after my first post, mother-in-law continued her attempts to convince us to let her stay with us, but still refused to book a hotel room. My husband and I decided to speak with brother-in-law again. He told us that the main reason why he wanted to get a hotel room for himself was to explore the city on his own. Still, he said he could understand why we didn't want mother-in-law to stay with us anymore. Eventually, he agreed to help her get a different room at the hotel he'd stay in. From what I gather, he also spent the weeks leading up to the visit telling his mother that if she tried complaining about Cecilia's name at any point, he would call a taxi to send her back to the hotel. Cecilia's birthday went off without a hitch, except for the fact that mother-in-law immediately tried to give her a nickname. For a few hours, she kept calling her Lila. She was doing so behind our backs, and my husband and I didn't realize it until our son came to ask us if Grandma knew Ceci's name. My brother-in-law offered to call the taxi, but we decided to brush it off. Later, my husband pulled mother-in-law aside and said that if she ever tried to complain about either of our children again, she won't get to visit us anymore. She behaved herself until she and brother-in-law flew back home, and we haven't heard any complaints from her since. I'm very satisfied with this outcome, though I'm still worried she will complain about my kids again in the future. I now know that we have my husband's brother by our side, which will greatly help us navigate our relationship with their mother. I'm pretty confident things will get better after this. Their visit went perfectly fine, besides the whole Lila thing, and I think she got the message that she won't get any more chances if she tries to complain again. Still, she's always had the tendency of complaining about everything. If it wasn't for the generally alright relationship we have with her otherwise, we wouldn't have as much contact as we do. The fact that we live in a different continent now helps a lot. Also, kudos to those who brought up Simon and Garfunkel's Cecilia. I love that one. However, our girl was actually named after a song by Brazilian singer Chico Buarque. I couldn't find a video with English subtitles, but I highly recommend checking it out. Thank you for reassuring me I wasn't overreacting. I wish you all well. Well, it'll be good for you for nipping that whole nickname thing in the bud with your husband talking to his mom and just telling her how things are going to be. You need to shut up now about that and stop complaining. And it sounds like she got the message. Hopefully she can keep it under control. But in any case, OP, here's wishing you, your husband, and your kids the best in the future. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Deleted. Am I the a-hole for cashing out, enjoying life, and not giving anything to my daughter? First of all, I'm not from the USA and English is not my first language. I, female 57, lost my husband of 25 years last year. We have a daughter, female 24, who's married for 2 years. My son passed away after her marriage and it has been hell ever since. My relationship with my daughter was very good and without any incidents before her marriage. She was sweet and loving and was a great daughter overall. She got married to the man of her choice. After that, it has all been downhill. She stopped coming to our house, stopped responding to our texts and calls, going almost no contact. We weren't rich, and although my husband had a lot of assets, they hadn't been liquidated. When he died, he didn't leave a will because it was so unexpected. After his death, my dear daughter didn't even attend his funeral, nor in any other functions. She didn't even call to ask how I was. Barely 6 months after my hubby's passing, she and son-in-law barged into our house and brought with them a lawyer who told me to sign some documents and a blank sheet. I know the legal processes and I'm not ignorant. I asked her what was in those documents. I don't know what I did, but here she was demanding me to sign some unknown documents and a blank sheet and not answering any questions. I asked the lawyer what it was about. He said it was for transferring all the assets in her and son-in-law's name. I said no. Here it got violent. She attacked me and I had to scream for help. I didn't call the cops, but told her to get out before I did. She was adamant about me signing and tried to take my thumb impression. At this point, my neighbors had come over and had witnessed pretty much the last part of forcing. My neighbor, bless his heart, physically kicked them out. After this, I was shaken, but very hurt. I don't know what I did and I was honestly scared for my life. She kept sending me messages, though not threatening, cause maybe her lawyer told her so. These messages she was sending were sweet messages, thanking me for making her the beneficiary, transferring all the assets to her, etc. I was disgusted. A week of harassment later, I decided I had enough. I wanted out. So I met my lawyer. He said since there was no will, I was the sole owner of all the assets and could do as I wish. Long story short, I sold everything, made low 7 figures in dollars. Bought a new place in a place I'd always wanted to be, far from everyone. Now, I plan to enjoy the rest of my life traveling and generally doing things I haven't been able to do, but which I've always wanted to do. I recently heard through the gossip vine that my daughter tried to start litigation against me shortly after I sold and left, but it fell through as everything was in my name now. She now wants to meet me and is pressuring her lackeys to contact me and make me meet her. I said no. I don't understand why she did that because it was all going to be hers anyway. They don't know where I am presently and I'd prefer to keep it that way. I'm no contact with her and son-in-law, and don't have social media except Reddit. So am I the a-hole? No, OP, you're not the a-hole, and I'm so sorry for all your losses. You lost your husband, you lost your son, and you lost your daughter. Now, if you say you had a good relationship with her and it all went downhill after she got married, you could assume it was the husband. But still, what she did by barging into your home, attacking you, and physically trying to get your thumbprint, there's no excuse. OP, you are not the a-hole. What you did was the right thing to do. I guess their greed just actually showed who they really were, horrible people. I would think your husband would also be sad by how she acted and he would encourage you to live your best life, so good for you for getting rid of everything and now doing what you actually want to do. Live where you want to live in peace and quiet. And what is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Alycion says, I'd do two things. The first is exactly what you are doing. Enjoy life. The second would be to make a will, leaving all my assets to a favorite charity or even the neighbor that helped you out. She allowed a man to change her to the point that she only wanted contact with you when it came to money. If she doesn't want to be a real daughter, then let it be that way for good. Tishers says, not the a-hole. Make a will, file it with the court, make sure that your lawyer has a copy, and make sure that you designate an executor who you can trust. You cannot completely cut out your daughter from the will. You have to leave her something, even like $1,000, but make it very clear in your will to what charities all of your assets will be donated to. That includes cash, savings, and the valuation of all your personal property that is to be liquidated at an auction. Trying to completely cut her out leaves room for her to contest the will. You are going to want to make sure that there are multiple copies of the exact same will and make it clear that you will not be modifying the terms of the will without the presence of your own attorney and executor. Also, establish who will act in your stead if you are disabled, incapacitated, or found to not be competent in making your own financial, health, and personal decisions. Your daughter and your son-in-law may very well try something. Talk to your lawyer first, but it may be a decision that you share the intent of your will in advance of the time comes of your passing. That may put a halt to any unfortunate accidents that might happen to you because there will be no way for them to win. Dranask says, not the a-hole. Suggest you leave all your money to a refuge for abused women. As for your daughter, she can whistle. And Opie responds, I am thinking of doing that. It's too much money for me to spend. I'd probably do whatever I want, then donate it or open an old age home and leave it all there. And NoCan9967 says, not the a-hole. Spend it all, and if you can't, donate whatever is left in your son and husband's name to charity they would support. And Opie responds, that is a wonderful suggestion. I've already made plans with whatever I will have left. I'd like to open an old age home or at least donate to one later when everything is settled. Okay, well, the community agrees that Opie is not the a-hole, and it sounds like Opie has a plan for the money after she's done with it. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hi everyone, it's been a while since my last post and I wanted to give an update. I've been offline for a month because I had an appendix operation, but I am back and feeling much better now. Also, thank you all for all the loving and supportive DMs. Sorry for not replying to all because I got a lot of them. Here's a quick recap for those who missed the original story. After my husband's and son's deaths, my daughter and her husband tried to forcibly take all of my late husband's assets. I chose to sell everything, move away, and start fresh. Here's what's happened since then. After selling the house, I bought a beautiful apartment in a beach state, a place I've always wanted to live in. It's been a dream come true. I've embraced a peaceful life surrounded by the sound of waves and fresh air and have been enjoying all the simple pleasures I couldn't before. As many people asked why she didn't get even a portion of my late husband's assets, it was due to customary laws. She married my brother's son, her maternal cousin, which isn't allowed under local law, so she wasn't entitled to any of the assets. There was a huge hullabaloo during their elopement, but we chose to forgive her because we loved her more than the damned laws. That legal technicality resolved everything in my favor. I haven't heard from her or her husband since, and I've chosen to keep it that way. I've focused on healing, both physically and emotionally, and building a life that finally brings me peace. I'm also exploring the possibility of touring Europe this winter or next year, which is also one of my bucket dreams. Thank you to everyone who supported me through this journey. Your kind words helped me more than you know. Heart, I love you all. Well, Opie, your daughter definitely lost the plot, but the good thing is that you are okay, you're moving forward, you're enjoying your life, and that's all that matters right now. So here's wishing that you enjoy the rest of your life. Have fun, Opie, take care, and thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.